Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Nothing like journalism in 2020. Let's read some Instagram captions. Let's read some Instagram comments and speculate a ton of different things. I don't love what Joel Embiid is doing, okay? It's not like I find it entertaining by any means, but I also don't care. Like, if I was in his shoes, would I be tweeting all of these things and commenting with Jimmy Butler? Absolutely not. But at the same time, I don't care. I don't think this means anything. This is just people getting sucked in. This is the type of person Joel Embiid is. Joel Embiid is not mature. Joel Embiid loves to troll. Joel Embiid is frustrated as a whole. If you remember earlier this season, he was talking about how he wasn't going to be that way. He was going to be different. His mentality was going to be different. He wasn't going to be the Joel Embiid of the past where he would troll people, he would chirp players. It wasn't that type of attitude. And then he kind of changed. He changed as a player, he changed as a person, and he wasn't this obnoxious personality that we are used to. And it seems like maybe that is playing a role in why he has not delivered the same way that he has previously in his career. This is a down year when it comes to the eye test. It looks like he's not having fun, and it all plays a role. So with whatever he's doing right now, I just don't care. And it's funny because I was going to record a podcast earlier in the day and talk about how he was shushing the crowd, and he did that gesture after knocking down a 3 against the Chicago Bulls because that brought people to outrage. It really did. A lot of fans did not like the fact that he told the fan base to shut the F up after knocking down a big shot and shushing them because they felt disrespected. That's another situation where, would I have done that? Absolutely not. Do I care that he did that? Absolutely not. I don't think it means a damn thing. I don't mean any of this means a damn thing. It seems like right now there is a disconnect between the fan base and the team. It's like a civil war going on. You got the fans on the left side, you got the players on the right side, and there's a huge gap in between. If you remember the 2008 Phillies, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Cole Hamels. There was a relationship. You loved that team. Now, we don't love this team because of the problems they are having and because they are underachieving. That's obvious. But it's to an extreme, and it's odd. That's all. It's just odd. You know, sometimes you fight with your siblings, your brother, you fist fight, and you guys get pissed off at each other. But at the end of the day, you love one another, your family. That's how I can compare this right now when it comes to Embiid, Al Horford, this team, and everybody cheering them on at the Wells Fargo Center. Now, I do have some big news to tell you. The new apparel is out. That's right. The link is in the description. The shirt I am rocking right now, if you are listening to this on YouTube, I got the old school logo on the side, on the top left, and it's really big on the back, which is similar to the old apparel that I had, but I updated the colors and the material of the shirts, and I also implemented my new logo on hoodies, long sleeves, t-shirts. So go check that out. And also, we all need to know about my SeatGeek code, BROADS, that you can use when buying tickets for $20 off of your total purchase. That is free parking. It's a no-brainer to use the promo code BROADS today. We've been asking for Joel Embiid to have some emotion, and then he finally has that emotion, and it's in a negative way towards the people at the Wells Fargo Center. Now, nobody likes the emotion. I'm torn in the middle because I do get why people don't like this. And here are the things that occurred. In case you didn't know already, but I find that hard to believe considering 99% of this fan base is losing its mind on Twitter thinking that Joel Embiid wants to get traded, Joel Embiid wants to be in Miami with Jimmy Butler, and all sorts of things. So what ended up happening was Joel Embiid put up a picture of him silencing the crowd. And the caption was, "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain." I think that was actually on Instagram and on Twitter. It was on both. But on the Instagram version, Jimmy Butler responded with, "I know a place where villains are welcome." And Embiid responded with, "Damn right, my brother." That's when people lost it. Oh my God. Oh no. We got to trade Embiid. We're gonna lose Embiid. You can either have one of those two ideas go through your head. Either we have to trade Embiid or he's gonna want out of here. All I can do is laugh because I don't think that way. I think nothing of this. It's just silly. It's just nonsense. It's immaturity. That's what it is. None of this means anything. Go look at how long Joel Embiid is signed for. And I get it. In the NBA, all the players have the power. If he demands a trade, then the player normally gets that way, right? You saw it go down with Anthony Davis. We all knew he wanted out of New Orleans. He didn't show up. He didn't participate. He got shipped to the Los Angeles Lakers. But that's not what's happening here. It's just not. He's trolling. Then he ends up putting up another picture, and it said, "Made for this. If I can take it, then you can too. Phila tough." He's having fun. Maybe he had too many Shirley Temples. He's enjoying this. I'm sure he's watching the Twitter feed right now, cracking the hell up. Or he's in a group chat with Jimmy Butler. Or he's just texting Jimmy Butler 101 going, "Dude, check out what I'm going to do." You can't put too much stock into this. It's crazy that we dissect athletes' lives based off of Instagram comments and tweets and things they liked on Twitter. It blows my mind. You can't read too deep into these things. If he tweets, "I want out of Philadelphia, trade me now," okay, you know what? Maybe we can have that discussion then. If that ever comes out, if he tweets something that significant, by all means, I'll open up the hotline number and we can chat. But that's not what this is. Is he hurt emotionally because of maybe feeling disrespected? Because he hears the noise and we're tough on this team and him and the whole squad as a whole? Probably. He probably is a little bit emotional. He probably doesn't feel loved because the fan base was promised a title-type team, and they are not executing to that level. So is he frustrated? Is he bothered? Is the whole team going through an emotional time right now, trying to figure this thing out and trying to get back on track? Yes. Yes. So that's why they're reacting the way that they are on the court. When Al Horford's getting booed, he's going to give the even though that's kind of out of character for a veteran like Al Horford. And I mentioned this at the very end of my breakdown video on the post-game show when it was the Sixers-Bulls game, so on Sunday night. I mentioned this right at the very end. And I truly believe this. The boos that the fans are raining down, it's not a pick it up boo. It's a "you suck, we are pissed off at you, we're embarrassed by you" type of boo. And I think that there is a difference. There was a time in that Bulls game, the score was in the 70s. Zach LaVine ended up hitting a shot, and the Bulls took the lead. The boos came pouring down. That boo was a pick it the hell up boo. But the Al Horford boo in the game against Memphis, that's another level. It's a disrespectful type of boo, and it's hard to explain. It's more like a feel. It's more like a gut feel, or instead of an eye test, it's an ear test. You can hear the difference in the tone, and you can, based off of what's going on the court, you can sense a different style of boo, and this is straight up disrespectful type of booing, and that's why you have these players making those type of gestures. Joel Embiid lied after the game. He was asked why it happened, and he said he was mad at himself. He's not playing up to par. We all knew what really was going on in his brain. The only person not getting booed right now is Furkan Korkmaz. Incredible. I respect the hell out of him. I really do. To drop 30-plus points in back-to-back games, it's really impressive, and what he's doing with this team, it's a spark plug. It's a spark plug that this team really needs. The team needs someone to rally around. This team needs some sort of good mojo. And guess what? Furkan Korkmaz is delivering that good mojo. They need anything right now. Something. And he is that guy. So I actually received a phone call from a fan in Toronto. Not a Sixers fan. A Toronto Raptors fan who has been following me since the Raptors and the Sixers ended up playing in the playoffs. We all know what happened. But she left a message about Joel Embiid a couple days ago, and I sat on it because I thought it was very interesting, but it somewhat ties in to what's going on right now with Embiid's personality. So I thought it would be a good time to throw that call in here. So we're going to listen right now.
What up, bros? This is Jess from Toronto. I'm absolutely not a Sixers fan. I'm a Raptors fan, but I watch a lot of the Sixers, and I thought I would give you my 2 cents, I guess an outsider's point of view about what I'm seeing from the team this year. And, I think a lot like Boston last year, there was a lot of hype for the Sixers this year, and the same thing's happening. It is not being lived up to, and I think Joel Embiid in particular is a player that I feel like I'm watching play a game, but not compete. And, that's awesome. If you want to run around the court and do airplanes up and down when the team is up 20, that's cool, but you better keep that same energy when the team is down 20. And I feel like when Joel Embiid has a shitty game, it's like watching someone whose soul got snatched out of their body. There's no light in the eyes. There's no drive. There's no killer instinct. I don't see a killer instinct and a competitive chip in Joel Embiid. And I feel like if Joel Embiid is, trying to lead a team to a championship, he's got to compete every single game. You can't just compete when it's a team that you're winning against. You got to compete constantly. And if you're the leader of a team, you got to lead the goddamn team. You can't just have a bad game and be down and then, give up and go to the sidelines. And I feel like I have watched Joel Embiid give up many times this year. I was at the game in Toronto when he got 0 points, and I'm not trying to rub it in, but to watch him that game was literally to watch someone who's so talented just give up. And, I feel like someone of his level, that's beneath them. He's too talented to be giving up that easy and not putting the work in to compete the way that he should to get a championship. So I don't know. He's got to get out of his own head. I got stuff to say about Brett Brown too, but I've already talked enough, so I'm not going to get into it. I'm sure someone else will. Anyways, love your show. You're definitely my favorite Philly source to get all my sports rivals news.
Well, thank you so much. Now, here's the thing. You hear that, you understand that that's coming from someone who's not a Sixers fan, and immediately you would think your wall would go up. Defend your players, defend the 76ers. But nothing she said was wrong. Joel Embiid came in this year with this attitude after losing in Game 7 and crying, embracing that moment and saying he's going to take a step because of that moment, feeling that pain, feeling how brutal that was, crying like that, coming off of the floor. He was going to take a big step in his career and start to dominate, and he's not doing that, and she's completely right. It's a weird, very odd spot to be in because the skill level is there. He can be the most dominant player, but he hasn't really been. I can't even date back to games this season, and maybe that's just because I'm irritated by this team as a whole, but there are no legitimate moments that I look at this season and say, that's right, Joel Embiid. Maybe one or two come to mind-ish, but nothing instantly. No games truly stick out to me. There was one that comes to mind where he had 30-plus points and he delivered against the Boston Celtics. But not enough. Even when he had 28 against the Bulls on Sunday. Who the hell is on the Bulls? Who can stop him? So it's a consistency thing. his whole attitude right now about not being able to fit into the offense, it bothers me. I don't think that means the answer is trade him. Once again, I don't think the answer is tweeting and firing things on Twitter and trolling, but does that really mean anything? No, it doesn't mean anything. He just needs to get out of this spot mentally because he's too good. I think he's all clustered in his brain right now, and he hears the fans. He knows that there's a problem with the spacing, and he's complaining about it to the media, and he's complaining about it, I'm sure, to himself and to his girlfriend and maybe to other teammates. He hears what Shaq's saying. Come on, he heard what was going on with that TNT crew in halftime and after the game, the soft that Shaq threw at him. I don't know why he did it like that, but he said he's soft, whatever that means. I'm more disappointed in the fact that he hasn't really shown up to be an absolute beast. I don't give a damn about all this nonsense other stuff. I don't prefer it for the 1 millionth time, but there's no reason to dive into every little comment, every little tweet, every little hashtag, wherever his location is, what the picture is. Like, who cares? Unless it's something so huge. Like, get me out of this damn city. I hate it. And guess what? That ain't going to happen. You're talking about a guy who lived in a totally different country, who came to this country, the United States of America, and found a home in Philly where the city embraced him like no other. He's not just going to walk out on us. He's not just going to leave, drop everything and say, get me out of here because of a tough season. He is emotional. He is fragile when it comes to that. Because as I stated, he is a guy who just came over to this country and, of all places, comes to Philadelphia. It's not Jacksonville. It's not Tampa Bay. I'm naming cities that have fan bases that don't care like we do. He got thrown into a hostile environment if things aren't succeeding. So he's going to have to adjust to that. You would think he would by now, considering he's been here for a few years, but obviously not, and we're talking about human emotions here. Moral of the story, don't put too much stock into this social media postings. You should put more stock in him playing good basketball, him figuring it out, him dominating anyone, him figuring out this offense. And air quotes, because, dude, you're supposed to be the best guy on the team. You should be figuring out this offense. There should be nothing to figure out. You are the offense. You and Ben Simmons are the offense. I can't believe he stated that. I really can't. We have some other calls to listen to, and if you want to call into the show, you can by calling 856-442-9805. And if you are from another country, because I actually have some fans from Turkey, because of Furkan, of course, from Australia, because of Ben Simmons, and Canada, apparently, you can record yourself on an audio file and email it to me at sportsandbroads@gmail.com. But let's take a listen here.
This is the answer to all our problems. Do it. This offseason, trade Embiid to Miami, get me Tyler Hero, and try, you throw someone with Embiid, go get me Goran Dragic. Go get me the veteran point guard and a young shooter. We can put this team back on track. Embiid's the issue. Put Horford at the 5. Keep Goran switching in and out with Ben, which will allow Ben to play the 4 a little more. And Hero will be an awesome compliment and great to bring up with Matisse. I think this is the answer, bro.
I don't think it's the answer, bro. I'm not moving on from these pieces. It's a very reactionary, upset move, an emotional move. We got to get rid of these people. No, we don't. No, we don't. We need to work together and clear this thing up. We need to move around the rotation. We might have to put Al Horford on the bench. We're not trading Joel Embiid for an old backup point guard and a young shooter. No, you're talking about a guy who's top 3 in his position. It's him. It's Anthony Davis, although Anthony Davis plays more of a stretch 4 role and Embiid plays more of that traditional 5. And the Joker. I mean, you could throw Rudy Gobert in the mix, but it's a totally different style of player. I think Embiid at his best can be way more of a factor than Rudy Gobert at his best. It's just we're not getting the best of Embiid right now with the way that this team is flowing as a whole. But you're not moving on from him. Come on. Why do we have to do that? Why is it always got to be trade people, trade him, trade him, trade him, trade him? Work around it. Work around the problem. Find the solution. And it's funny because Jess, when she called in, she mentioned she has a lot to say about Brett Brown. Is that the solution? If so, we're not going to find that solution this season. But that doesn't mean you trade Joel Embiid because of it. What else do we got?
What's up, bros? It's Danny. I love your account, man. I've been around there since, 2K. Listen, I wanted to get your thoughts on 2 things from the game. First of all, Embiid hits that dagger and he tells the crowd to shut up. That was a little bit just concerning for me. I didn't love that because the last thing I want is Embiid wanting out. Second, I love Korkmaz just as much as the next guy, but I'm a little bit concerned with how well he's playing right now, and that if he keeps playing too well, I can't see Brett Brown not playing in the playoff series, and you know it just as much as the next guy. Korkmaz is going to get cooked in the playoffs. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Peace out.
Thank you so much for the call. With Joel and the shushing of the crowd, really, it doesn't mean too much to me. It was an emotional moment. It was a big shot made. The fans were on the team all night long, and he had a reactionary move where did he somewhat yell towards the crowd? Did he come out a little bit with his frustration? Yes. Yes, he did. And that's fine by me. You move on to the next game. You move on to the next game. And when you mentioned Furkan doing too well, you can't be mad that someone's doing too well. As much as I've been anti-Furkan Korkmaz for a long time, he's making his shots. He's playing the best basketball of his life, and he's being confident, and I'm enjoying it. I am full on enjoying every time this guy makes a play. When he gets a steal, when he ends up dunking, when he makes a big 3, when he consistently hits 3 threes in a row within a minute and a half, things like that. And I see the Wells Fargo Center go crazy. Those are awesome moments, and I'm here for it. I would love for Furkan Korkmaz to produce in the playoffs. As much as I state that that's my biggest concern, if he does it, I'd be thrilled. I root for the Sixers. I want the Sixers to win basketball games. I don't care who does it. I don't care if it's Zahir Smith, if it's Norvell Pell, if it's anyone down there, Mariel Shayok. I don't give a damn who it is. If the Sixers are winning basketball games, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. That's why when I heard someone the other day say they hope the Sixers get bounced in the first round. They don't want them to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals because then there would be some false hope around Brett Brown. So you'd rather the team lose than make it to the Eastern Conference Finals because you don't like Brett Brown that much? Aren't you rooting for the team to win? That's what I don't understand. Even as much as me, when I went after Furkan for a long time, every single game, I rooted for the kid to succeed. I want to be wrong in certain situations. I want the team to do well. I don't get that narrative. And that goes the same way with Furkan. I'd rather him do well and stand right up to this microphone and say, hey, everyone listening, I was wrong. I want that. Not all the time. Not all the time. But when I don't think someone is the best player who can help this team, in those moments, sure, by all means, bros, be wrong every time. Because it only helps the organization. I can only tell you, though, how I feel personally about a specific player or his game or what he does well or what he does wrong. And that's that. Last call here before we end the podcast.
Hey bros, I'm Arda. First of all, I'm a new Sixers fan from Turkey. I started to watch the games as Furkan got more minutes this season and eventually started watching your show as well. I love it. So you could say I'm a bit biased. But the thing I'd like to draw your attention is the dynamics of the team, not Furkan. Obviously not as an old Sixers fan, but more of a basketball fan. When I watch Sixers play, especially in the last 5 games or so, I can't stop but to think how awkward Al Horford is spaced throughout the floor. It's so most painful to watch. It's quite entertaining to watch some of the guys play. Like even when Ben Simmons plays poorly, and I mean poorly compared to like his potential. The other guys like Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris, Furkan, Shake Milton, and even like Glenn Robinson, who just had a solid game with the minutes he got, can compensate for the points, but the big man rotation is non-existent. If Embiid has an average game and Horford plays the way he does, it's inevitable that the Sixers will get dominated under the basket, both on defense and offense. Like that Atlanta Hawks game was horrendous in terms of defending pick and rolls, and I think a big part of that was because of Al Horford. Norwell Pell has a lot way to go. He's not going to play anytime soon. And this is not to say that Sixers should trade Horford or anything like that for now, but I think that the primary concern at the moment is the big man rotation. And it shocks me as a regular basketball fan how Brett Brown does quite literally nothing to address that issue. And I'd like to add one more thing about Furkan. Most of you guys probably don't know, but he won a dunk contest 4 years ago in the Turkish league. Of course, not as flashy as the NBA, but yeah, he has some hops as well. You should check it out. Have a good one.
The Furkan Korkmaz love. I appreciate the support all the way from Turkey. That really amazes me and stuns me that I have reached out that far to Turkey. It's crazy to even process. But yeah, Furkan, you know what? He's grown on me. His personality's coming out more, and I give him so much respect for what he's doing. And with the team, seeing the team, that really impacts me to see the way the team is reacting during such a tough time and a brutal stretch. To see the team react the way that they are for when he's playing and when he's succeeding, I take a lot of value out of that. I do. You mentioned the big man rotation. Yeah, it's clear. It's a problem. I think everybody can see that right now. There has to be a change. You mentioned the pick and roll defense. That has been a problem since Brett Brown has been here. They have been really brutal when it comes to defending that. It's either a wide open jump shot mid-range, or they're getting the basketball to the guy actually rolling way too easy, whether it's getting it through a bounce pass, just passing it standard, or an alley-oop. And specifically, the Nets, that type of team, they always find ways to get an alley-oop to Jared Allen or somebody. The pick-and-roll defense has always been embarrassing when it comes to Brett Brown's system and his philosophy, no matter what player is out there. It's unbelievable. Nothing has changed. It's wild. So with that being said, I want to hear your thoughts on the Joel Embiid saga, the drama, if you will. And the other conversations we had throughout this, whether it's Furkan Korkmaz, whether it's getting rid of Joel Embiid, whether it's what Jess said from Toronto about Embiid as a whole, not so much specifically the Instagram posts and all of that, but more about him as a player this season. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.